If you would join us in the salute to the flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ariano.
Here.
Councilmember Nasrati.
Here.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer.
Yes.
Mayor Bublak.
Yes, we are all present. Declaration of conflicts of interest, listening. 8. No, I circled it. I gotta sneeze again. Okay. 8B. 8B? Yes. Okay, 8 boy. Got it. Any others? All right, we'll move on to the approval agenda as posted or amended.
I move to approve.
Can we have a motion?
Seconded.
And a second. Clerk, call the roll.
Approving the agenda as posted, Councilmember Ariano.
Yes.
Councilmember Nasrati.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer.
Yes.
Mayor Bublak.
Yes, passes. We will keep it as it is, and then we will go to the recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Fire Captain Salazar. Come on up. You ready? Got a lot of pink going on. Hope so. All right. So this is this on? Okay, there we go. This is in regard to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is always in October. It's estimated that over 268,000 men and women will be diagnosed with breast cancer for the year of 2019. Out of those cases, 2,680 will be men, and the majority will be women. Whereas approximately 41,400 of those diagnosed are expected to die from breast cancer. And whereas to increase awareness of this disease, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is an annual campaign designed to increase education about early detection, the cause, diagnosis, treatment, and support for survivors. Whereas members of the Turlock Fire Department will support breast cancer awareness by wearing specially designed pink t-shirts as part of their uniform in October. In addition, other city staff members are authorized and encouraged to wear the pink Turlock Fire t-shirt every Friday throughout the month of October, and council will wear them on the 2 meetings in October. And any member of the public may join in supporting this important cause by purchasing and wearing one of these t-shirts from the Emmanuel Medical Center gift shop, Crivelli shirts, and more, 10 Pin Fun Center, or the Public Safety Facility Fire Administration. 100% of the proceeds will be donated to the Bill and Elsie Alum Cancer Endowment in Turlock. Now, therefore, I, Amy Bublak, by virtue of the authority invested in me as mayor of the city of Turlock and on behalf of the entire city council and our citizens, do hereby proclaim October of 2019 Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So now Frank has the story behind each shirt and how it's chosen and how much money he always raises and how much more he'll do this time. So let's hear what he has.
Good evening. What an opportunity to come up here and speak on behalf of you. Thank you, Council. Fire Chief Gary Carlson, who strongly supports us every year on this drive and mission. Thank you for having the opportunity to speak in front of you today. Well, as you can tell, it is month of breast cancer awareness in October. I don't know if you guys are familiar how our cancer center works here locally. I guess you wouldn't know until a family member or a close friend has cancer. But I don't think you realize the importance of that cancer center we have here. Someone who is diagnosed with cancer goes to Stanford, sees an oncologist, sees her doctor. That doctor is also affiliated with the cancer center here in town. Between those 2 doctors communicating and the oncologist, they're able to determine what kind of treatment that patient is going to have. What can you imagine not having to drive all the way to Stanford for that treatment when they can come here? They know what they may have surgery in Stanford, but the treatment will be done here. That is amazing for someone who's going through that recovery time and going through that mission of their life. So not having to drive, that's huge stress on them and their family. So when we started this years ago, our whole mission was just to be aware. And this year, we're also doing that again. We want you to be aware. We want you to be aware of your health. We want you to take initiative to take the time throughout the year to have an exam, to have a test, have a physical. We want you to be aware of your own health. I don't think you realize how many people are diagnosed with cancer, the patients that we deal with here in town. We come to their homes, they're not feeling well, we help them out. It's more than what you think. But when you see them and you start going to the recovery, you know that we're there for them as firefighters in the community. So since we started this mission, we've raised $116,000 to the cancer center locally. So it started off small, and we didn't know what to expect. It just continues to grow, and we want to continue to send the message out to the community that to be aware of your health. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the citizens of Turlock, the Turlock firefighters, and the community that continues to support this drive and mission. We gave the council a gift on behalf of the firefighters that when they wear them for the month of October. Again, this year, just to let you know right quick, we came up with a long sleeve shirt because I got a lot of people asking for long sleeve because they want to wear them in November, December. So they want to wear them a little bit longer. So I only have so many of the long sleeve because I wasn't too sure how it was going to work out. But so far it's been going really well. So thank you very much for your support. Continue supporting us and your family and friends. They're $15 for a short sleeve and $20 for a long sleeve. So that was a different price between one and the other. Thank you very much for having an opportunity to come and speak on behalf of you. And it's a great opportunity to come here for the council. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, colleagues, staff, and members of the community. 2 years ago, in fact, 2 years ago this month, Turlock passed a resolution. And it was pointed out to me that 3 of our council members were not present at the time. And so at this time, I'm going to reaffirm the resolution. So please bear with me. Whereas bullying, harassment, and hate crimes have increased in the cities and communities across America, and whereas the County of Stanislaus and the City of Turlock welcome the valued, diverse, racial, ethnic, religious, and national backgrounds, and further recognize that our diversity is critical to the economic, cultural, and social well-being of our community, and whereas history has tragically taught us what happens when people stand silently by and allow acts of intolerance, hatred, and violence to occur. And whereas people often feel isolated without hope and helpless to do anything individually to end hate crimes, and whereas people in communities across our nation have stood up and successfully opposed any acts of discrimination committed against their neighbors, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Turlock and its elected representatives stand up against bigotry, hate-based groups, and hate-based crime of all kinds within our organization and throughout the community, and declares that no one shall be discriminated against because of race, faith, ethnicity, national origin, legal status, gender, age, disability, sexual orientation, or any other real or perceived difference. Be it further resolved, the City of Turlock stands together with all people of good faith across the nation in an effort to push back the rising tide of bullying, harassment, racism, and hate crimes, to proclaim, not in our city, not in our country, not in our community, not in Turlock. Thank you.
So we will have public participation now, and that's limited to 3 minutes. I have 2 cards here. Donna Inslee?
That was a nice moment. Thank you, Mr. Escara. Appreciate that. I'm here to talk about the hate crime resolution. And the reason I'm talking about it is because somebody from Maine contacted someone in my group, and they wanted to use our resolution as a model for one that they would be doing across the country. So we're in the forefront of having come to a place where we recognize that we need to be inclusive with everyone. And once again, I'm telling you that Turlock is out in front of other people when someone from Maine wants to come and see what we've done. So we should give ourselves a pat on the back for that. Thank you very much, City Council, for having recognized that 2 years ago. Because we needed to give that information to someone, we went looking for it. And what I want to ask you tonight is, I looked for it on the website, I couldn't find it. I looked for it downstairs on a bulletin board and I couldn't find it. And it seems like we have a really precious document and something that works as a mission statement at the level of a mission statement. It's a statement of our philosophical beliefs with our citizenship here in Turlock. It ought to be something that we're proclaiming. So on the website where the mission statement is located, this resolution would be an appropriate addition, I think. And place it proudly on a bulletin board downstairs so that when people come into our city hall, they know what we're about. They know what kind of people we are and what our expectations and philosophies are. So that's my request for tonight, but thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll have our staff get a hold of you and let you know when we post it and where we post it. Thank you. And Michelle Park.
Also piggybacking on that, thank you, Mr. Skier, for that. And Kathy Dew and I had gone to the city of Modesto to, when they were drafting their resolution, and had sort of touted our resolution and our process. And one of the things that they really liked was that supposedly this resolution was in physically in the building here, posted, and we can't find it anywhere. So also the other thing is, at the last City Council meeting on September 10th, the City Attorney, Mr. White, wrapped up the briefing on the city's flag policy by saying, quote, given the fact that we would have had to have a policy change and make sure that we did this correctly so as to not open it up to hate groups, I said, and Councilmember Nazrati said, that we were unable to do that for this meeting, but it was our intention within the next month or so to bring something back for consideration. So since it's not on tonight's agenda, I'd like to ask the council publicly when you expect to consider this policy change, and I also ask that you contact me personally to let me know when you expect to have this policy change on the agenda. And one other quick thing is that also when I went to Modesto, the podium was in the same place, and I was unfamiliar with that because I was so used to all the years that the podium was over there. And I don't know why the change is, but I don't like it because I don't like having my back to the audience. And I do prefer to be off to the side so that I can also face the public and address you as well. Thank you.
And our interim city manager will have somebody let you know when they get it on the agenda. Okay, anybody else who did not fill out a blue card? Mr. Franzen.
Good evening, Council. I wanted to speak again on, like on the record in public, about the city's health insurance that it provides, and also just in a more general, broad sense, that as far as all the numbers that we have seen in the last year that have been proven that we are actually in a financial crisis, a lot of people do not know this in the community. I was just at the last Planning Commission meeting, and a commissioner asked why there were some parks that were not being mowed as much anymore, and that we had some medians that looked like they were that they were not being kept up. and they asked if this was due to the city with its budget. And city staff did indeed tell them that yes, it is actually induced by the budget. But we have a planning commission that's actually asking about this. To me, that is a bad indicator because they're actually involved. The general public is even further down on that. And I think that we need to hear some statements, even more. I know you have actually mentioned this. There have been some council meetings about it, but people don't know. And then also, when we're looking at these community services that are cut, those were cut, and we do hear about possibly being taxed for a public safety tax, maybe a general tax. We've seen a presentation where even to try to get 1%. But we're already receiving less and less services, and it feels like we're paying more and more. To me, that doesn't seem like it's going to be sustainable for the community, and I think you're going to start hearing more and more complaints, especially if you want to actually tax them more. And there's a big concern with the city's health insurance. Just the fact that it showed, according to the city document, about 375 employees cost about $8 million. Because the city is self-insured, that we are paying out what some people would see the health insurance pay. And there's a lot of people that are not using that might want the money. And if city employees are wondering why they can't get raises, it's because about $23,000 are being attributed to their salary. And in a lot of places, they're not having to contribute that much to their insurance. It's probably not even worth that much. So I would ask if you could give some indication that this is being, that this is going to be addressed and corrected. I know that that has to do with the labor negotiations, but this has been ongoing for about 5 years that we've actually, seen city staff document to us. And these are totaling you could go up to $3 million a year in savings if you made some of these corrections. And we're being faced with, community services being cut. So if you could please consider that and let us all know, that'd be great.
Thank you. Mr. Cook's working on external communications as well as internal, so we hope to see some help with the public knowing, and even our planning commission knowing what's going on. Anybody else who did not fill out something? Okay, I will close, and Mr. White really wants to say something.
I do. I just want to address that because I don't want
Sure.
the public to know. So things that are subject to labor negotiations, we can't talk about. We're not allowed to talk about. It's not because this council doesn't want to be transparent. We don't want to be subject to an unfair labor claim, something that would drive up legal costs and expense. And so the council's well aware of everything that are contained in the MOUs and those things that are negotiable, but we won't be making any public comments about those because we can't.
Okay, item 5, motion waiving reading of all ordinances on the agenda except by title. We have a motion,
Seconded.
and we have a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nisrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, it passes 5-0. The consent item, there is a green sheet for item 6H, and there was a request to take item I off consent. Is there any other requests? If not, then a motion for everything but I. With the green sheet? We have a motion
Seconded.
in 2 seconds. Clerk call the roll.
Adopting the amended consent calendar. Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nisrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes. Item I is resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement subordinating the lien agreement with 10 Pin Fund Center.
Good evening, council, mayor, members of the public. Item before you tonight is a subordination agreement, which when 10 Pin developed their facility, they were subject to capital facility fees. Capital facility fees are fees associated with development as it relates to general city government and the impact those developments create to the city. The city historically has had a fee deferral program which allows businesses to defer those fees, not waive or not collect those fees, but defer those fees so they can get in the ground, get in business and up and running. 10 Pin elected to execute a deferral agreement, of which the fees would be paid back over a period of 5 years. Their first payment is due on March of 2020. So we just executed a deferral agreement in March of 2019. Staff received the request to subordinate the deferral agreement because they're in the process of refinancing their existing construction loan to a different type of loan. And in order for them to be able to do that, their lender has asked the city to basically be in second position on the loan, in the loan process. What this means is that if the development were to go into default and file bankruptcy, the first position loan would be paid off. The second position, which would be our deferral agreement, would then be paid off with the proceeds. There's very little risk to this. The appraised amount nearly equals the estimated amount of the construction loan plus the deferred fees. With every monthly payment that they make, they pay down their principal, thereby increasing capacity to then pay our deferred fees. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, gotta say, I'm a little uncomfortable with subordination. I realize you're saying that the value is higher than what the loan balance might be, but that's today. Now, the way that everything is looking, we're getting ready to go into a recession that it seems like most of the people around us are gearing up for this. So I'm a little concerned that the subordination may, how would that affect us if there is a downturn and then the value of the property becomes less than the loan balance?
Well, so that scenario, that doesn't affect the city nor the deferred amount. The only effect the city would have is if the company goes into default and files bankruptcy. So just because the value of the loan is higher than the amount that it's appraised for doesn't necessarily affect the city. It's only in the case of default. With the first payment, the payment is roughly $54,000. They elected to go with a sliding scale, so 10% the first year, 15% the next year. And so what this does is helps businesses get in the door without having that huge upfront cost. So just March of 2020, the tin pan operation, we look at making that first payment, which is right now estimated to be $54,000.
Councilmember Strati?
And this, the deferral is going to be paid off in how much time?
It's over a period of 5 years.
So it would need to default within the next 5 years, and yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I will open it to public. Anyone wishing to speak?
So I saw this, and this was in my attempt to try to research the city budget and to look at expenses. And I wasn't aware of this, and it says that this program has been extended in 2011, 13, and 16. And it is saying that the deferral program was to make development more financially feasible during a difficult economy. We've had 3 years of economic boom, and people are expecting the only place to go from here at best is to have another great year, but probably more likely down. But we have our own financial problems at the city of Turlock. So I wasn't sure too, just to clarify, it says that the project, it says New Life in here, is to pay, is that just a typo?
It must be a typo.
Okay, so we're talking about 541. Huh?
Pastor won't be happy about that.
So we're talking about $500,000 to be deferred, but again, you are actually speaking to your own labor groups about possibly paying into their insurance. People are requesting raises, and we do have, I'm not sure where this money goes to, but we have like an engineering fund that I thought was owed like $2.5 million at one time. I don't know if you've paid into that, but where is this money going, and how are we going to be able to help people if the city of Turlock isn't helping itself? And if it is for economic development, which I could understand, I think it really needs to be highlighted as that, because I didn't know about this. I'm sure a lot of people would have liked the city helping the bowling alley open. I don't think anyone would know. So I think that should be somewhat packaged better and promoted that we're doing that. So if I could get some of these answered, I'd appreciate it.
Any other person in the public wishing to make a statement, speak, question? All right, I will close the public hearing. Mr. Bray, are you prepared to?
I can, yes. So the fees go directly to the CFF, the Capital Facility Fee Program. So this is a separate fee program to mitigate impacts that development causes to the services and the facilities that the development creates. Those fees can't be intermingled with other funds and fees. They are specifically for a defined purpose. There are water, sewer, storm, transportation facilities that have all identified certain projects that these then go towards accumulating so the city can complete those projects. There was a comment about being packaged better. So the city did conduct a hearing, and this item was held before the council when the city elected to enter into the deferred fee agreement. If there's something more that this body would like staff to do, I'm sure we can discuss that with the city manager.
So are they paying interest on the deferral?
They are, yes. And so they pay interest on the deferral. They also pay what's known as a cost inflator, so the Engineering News Record Index. So that is an index that identifies the cost of construction throughout the San Francisco area. And we use the San Francisco area just because it's been consistent since, I want to say, 1906. So it's a very consistent source of index. It's kind of like a CPI. So if those costs go up, the cost of the payment would go up to the same degree. If these ENR or the CPI were to go down, the value would go down as well.
Go ahead.
Now, just for clarification, what did you say the sliding scale was? It was first year is 5%?
First year is 10%.
10%.
Yeah, I have it right here. Actually, I don't know if I have the percentages here, but it looks to be 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 is what it looks to be. There are different programs that the city offers. This is Tin Pin elected to go with the 5-year program. There's also a 4-year program where it's equal installments. And then there's also deferral until occupancy or final inspection.
It is this vote also in reference to, could we alter and flip it so that knowing that there's an economy drop if we start high and go low, because that would actually make more sense? Is that potential?
I think that's potential. It's not what this agreement talks about. And it's not necessarily what the program talks about. The idea and my understanding when I speak to developers and project owners is that they choose this methodology because it allows them to get through the high cost of construction and start operating their business without the high cost of the impact fees. They're not disputing nor are they waiving the fees. They just want to get in the door and get the process going so they can start making money and then start paying those fees.
So it takes 3 to 5 years in this valley to see if you're going to make it or break it. I mean, that's kind of the general rule. So to give the developers some leeway into all, the impact fees that we have to endure, it is a credible program, and I don't know if anybody's defaulted on it, but I think that everyone has probably made good on it, and I would recommend moving forward.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
We have a motion. And 2 seconds.
Can I ask this informational question?
Yeah.
What do we have budgeted annually to be able to defer?
We don't necessarily budget anything. We receive those requests as they're generated. And all deferral agreements are brought back to the council. but we don't necessarily identify what projects are going to move forward and if they're going to defer those fees or not.
So any project, any development project is qualified for this?
The commercial and industrial facility, yes. There's a separate residential fee deferral program, and it's a little bit different and unique from this, but we also have that as well.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nisrati?
Yes?
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
No.
Mayor Bublak?
No. And it passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Final readings. Adopting an ordinance approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and the Evergreen Market. Mr. White, maybe?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, what you have before you is the final reading for a development agreement for Evergreen Market, which would allow them to operate a commercial cannabis dispensary or retail outlet within the City of Turlock. The proposed location is 693 North Golden State Boulevard in Turlock, California. The agreement really largely encapsulates the financial terms with Evergreen and would still be subject to a conditional use permit as well as the final background check by the police department, all of which are required to have in place before they could be operational. So the development agreement in and of itself does not allow anyone to operate. They must finish the conditional use permit process as well as our background. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions, staff?
I think I talked to Michael Cook about this. If we wanted to put something into place where the development agreement funds, like set some sort of policy related to how that could potentially be spent, that doesn't need to be done on the front end with, no, okay.
No, and we would encourage you to do that through an ordinance, not encapsulating it in the agreement because it really is irrelevant to the developer in this situation as to how we spend the money.
Any other questions? We'll open it to the public. Anyone wishing to speak regarding this topic? I will close the public hearing, bring it back. What is the will of council? We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and the Evergreen Market, Turlock, Inc., located at 693 North Golden State Boulevard, Turlock, California, County of Stanislaus, Assessor's Parcel Number 061-041-006, as introduced at the September 10, 2019 City Council meeting. Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nisrati?
Yes?
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
No, it passes 4-1. On to the ordinance, adopting an ordinance approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and Perfect Union Turlock, which is location of 2500 North Golden State. Mr. White.
Mayor and Council, just like the last one, this is a development agreement for Perfect Union Turlock to operate a commercial cannabis business retail dispensary at 2500 North Golden State Boulevard. As we discussed before, the development agreement isn't allow them to operate. It will be it's still subject to the police department's background check as well as the awarding of a conditional use permit. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions, staff? Okay, I will open it to the public. Anyone wishing to speak? I will close the public hearing and bring it back. Is there a motion?
Move to.
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and Perfect Union Turlock, LLC, located at 2500 North Golden State Boulevard, Turlock, California, County of Stanislaus, Assessor's Parcel Number 088-007-025, as introduced at the September 10, 2019 City Council meeting. Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nisrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
No, it passes 4-1. Public hearings, request to introduce an ordinance for the first reading approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and JDI Farms at 600 D Street.
Mayor and Council, what you have before you is the first reading of a development agreement with JDI Farms for operation of a cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution facility at 600 D Street. Mr. Silva, who's the operator, is here and can answer any questions that you may have as it relates to him, but he is actively involved in the community. With that, happy to answer any questions council may have.
Questions?
I want to know what JDI stands for.
I'll let Mr. Silva come up and answer that one.
This thing on? Yeah, okay. It doesn't stand for what everybody thinks it stands for. I was just made aware of that earlier today for the first time. But it stands for just do it. It doesn't stand for anything else but that. Very simple, just do it. Yeah, quit talking about it, just do it. So, any other questions while I'm up here?
So to be clear, it does not stand for the initials of a congressman.
Understood.
I didn't want to go there, so maybe there wasn't people that were aware of what it was supposed to, or what it was said to be stood for. So, but yeah, any other questions while I'm up here?
Anybody? Thank you. Anyone else from public wishing to speak? All right, let's bring it back to council. Gil? Anybody?
Motion to approve.
Councilmember Larson. And a second?
Second.
Vice Mayor is here. Call the roll, please.
Push the button. I pushed the button.
Thank you. Introducing an ordinance for first reading, approving a development agreement by and between the City of Turlock and JDI Farms, Inc., located at 600 D Street, Turlock, California, County of Stanislaus, Assessor's Parcel Number 043-018-016, and setting the final reading date for October 8, 2019. Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasrati?
Yes?
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
No, it passes 4-1. On to request to order the abandonment of 400 block of 3rd Street right-of-way. And Mr. White.
Yeah, Mayor, if I could, before council member leaves. Councilmember?
Before.
Becky,
Before you leave.
before you leave, I just want to make a clarification, because I think she kind of used the agenda words instead of the words we have not done a conflicted analysis of this, and at the last meeting, she voluntarily recused herself. She didn't, it's not a statement that she actually has a conflict, it's a voluntarily recusal. So I just asked the council member to clarify so that it could be reflected that way in the record, if that's.
Abundance of caution.
It's a voluntary recusal.
Good. Thank you.
Can't wait till I get to voluntarily recuse myself.
You can do it anytime.
It's a long walk.
It's the door right here, right?
Okay. Mr. Bray.
Yeah, good evening again, Mayor and council members. The item before you tonight is a public hearing for the abandonment of the 400 block of 3rd Street, which is between streets C Street and D Street. On March 8th, 2018, city staff received a request to abandon this section of roadway. State law requires the city council authorize the abandonment of any city-owned property in accordance with the Public Streets and Highways Code. On August 13th, 2019, this council adopted a resolution to vacate the 400 block of 3rd Street and directed the city engineer to post notices along the affected property in anticipation of tonight's public hearing. The city staff has not received any outcry or any concerns from affected individuals. But that is the purpose of tonight's meeting, is to have a public hearing so the council can hear and consider any concerns that this action would have. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Vice Mayor?
Just a point of clarification. Now, there is no value, monetary value in this abandonment, correct?
That is correct. The city owns via road easement or road dedication. We do not own the property in fee. So we couldn't sell the road to someone else. We can only abandon our interest in the road, and then the adjoining property owners would re-encumber their own property.
Thank you.
Yes.
And what are the elements or the process that we go through to ensure that there isn't a monetary benefit? What are the kind of the components that we look at?
Yeah, so the Streets and Highways Code, and City Attorney, step in whenever you need to, but the Streets and Highways Code lays out the process for any public entity that owns a road easement to go through. It would be different if we owned a parcel and we were selling that off. That has a real monetary value. The city didn't necessarily acquire the road dedication in fee, so technically we don't go out and buy these road dedications, right? We encumber them. If we do have an area where we are purchasing a road dedication, the value is so limited because of the public process of using that easement, basically. So we follow the Streets and Highways Code, which basically lays out the process that we have to follow.
So in other words, we follow state law. There's a prescribed process. It's an easement. The easement has no independent value. That determination is made, and that's why you go through an abandonment process, because you don't actually own the land.
I guess it's kind of a related question, but now would that also apply to alleys? I know we talked about alleys before. If we were to abandon an alley, it would be the similar process?
It would be a very similar process, yes.
And just because I need money so badly here for the city that, so do they pay more property tax because it's bigger then afterwards?
I believe the property tax is already based on the parcel size, and the parcel size goes out to the property line. So I believe that's the case.
It is. So they're paying taxes on it because they own it in fee. We don't pay taxes on the easement value. Yeah.
Gotcha. I was just looking for money, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, we'll open it to the public. Anyone wishing to speak? Mr. Warda.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Mike Warda here representing the property owners. Turlock Walnut has probably put about $5 million of improvements out there. And so over the last few years, that property went from in pretty bad shape to being in pretty great shape. The property that's adjacent to that was actually purchased from the city, and that was done through a process. And I just want to make it clear that this process started in early 2018, and the property was acquired in 2018. And so there's been nothing really that anybody from the property owner side has done in 2019 at all. But there has been a substantial increase in the value and the property taxes because of the improvements they put in. If you have any questions.
Questions? Susan? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council.
Move to introduce the resolution?
We have a motion. And a second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Nisrati?
Yes?
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, it passes 401.
Thank you.
And final, Ms. Pitt, we have a request to approve the fiscal year 2018-19 consolidated annual performance with the hope that Councilmember Ariano's coming back?
He's coming back.
All right. Outstanding.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you is one that you see me every year about this time. As you know, that we are a United States Department of Housing and Urban Development entitlement, and as such, we're required to go through separate processes with regard to both planning and reporting. The item before you, known as the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, is in fact our annual report to HUD of activities and how funds were spent. So with it, there has been a process where the draft CAPER has been out for public comment for 30 days, is culminated in the approval by this body, and then its submission, we will do that, press the button electronically, and it goes to HUD tomorrow. And so it outlines in the rather voluminous document our activities and accomplishments for this last fiscal year, which includes public service grants, activities related to rehabilitation projects, development of single and multifamily affordable housing stock, and other activities as outlined in the CAPER. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And of note, next council meeting, I'll be bringing actually activities we did this last year that are contained in the caper. That those projects will be then the last step of providing those to the nonprofits to put into service.
That's a lot of work. All right, questions of staff? Okay, we'll open it to the public. Anyone wishing to ask a question, make a statement? Okay, we'll close that, bring it back. I do appreciate HUD has so many rules that must be cumbersome. Anybody wishing to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Ariano?
Yes.
Councilmember Nisrati?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Esquer?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, it passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Pitt. There are no action items. City manager reports updates. Fire department has a written update. The police department has a written update. And Mr. Bray is back for West Main Street Rehabilitation Construction Project update.
We're gonna leave it there.
Oh, I'm sorry, it says only written. Did you want to give a speech? Chief? Did you want? Oh, no.
Just right here.
Youth. It's the youth, come on.
I do need my exercise. Mayor and council, I'm happy to acknowledge that the paving for West Main is complete. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods, but all of the paving was done as of yesterday. The contractor right now is in the process of cutting in the detector loops so the traffic signals can actuate based on the traffic demand. And they will start raising the iron, the manhole, and the valves up to grade so that our utility crews can use them. They're still working on concrete sidewalk and driveways. The estimate is about 2 weeks until they're done with all the concrete work, and so we're nearing the home stretch. I ask that the public remains patient, even though it is black and it is paved. It is still an active construction zone.
I read it in the B that it's supposed to be done by September, so I mean, if it goes in October 1st.
Did it say what year?
No, it didn't. Thank you.
We're going for this year. No, in all seriousness, it is still an active construction site. There is still traffic control restricting traffic from using it as a thoroughfare. It's nearing completion to where it'll be opened up for everyone to use, but I want to give an update on that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just a quick question. When did you say the driveways would be done?
What's that, I'm sorry?
The driveways would be done when?
Roughly 2 weeks.
Write that down.
So, I would love when it's done and it's closed to have a kind of a review of what the change orders look like and how much over we went, because obviously change orders you always go over, but just kind of an understanding of how long it took, and so that we can learn from that as council, so as we make guidelines for next time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we got the Yelp.
So part of the process is we'll be finalizing our final change order as well as our notice of completion, and that could be a prime opportunity to do that at that time, if the council wishes.
Anyone in the public wishing to say something about West Main? Only good things, please? All right. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you have something else? He has comments
I have
now.
comments. We went past the questions, now I have comments. Thank you. West Main's looking beautiful, the lights, I love the lights out there. We can actually see. You can walk down the street and you don't have to worry about the dark spots. Taking a little bit longer than we expected, but you know what? It's looking good. I love it. So far, all the neighbors that we've spoken to, they're happy. So, good job. Thank you.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Are we allowed to ask about other projects? Since it's not
I can give an update with
just
whatever.
Olive and Wayside, seeing that.
Oh, that'll be Thursday night.
Well, Olive and Wayside, we have a traffic signal that's going in there.
Right.
We are, the poles are erected. The signal
Delineators,
heads are
please.
on, they're covered. We're waiting for the final apparatuses to arrive and then be connected. Much like we had the signal at Hawkeye and Denair, where it was there, but it wasn't turned on yet. It's the same situation. And also the same situation is at West Main and West Avenue. We have the poles are installed. The controller isn't there yet. And so we will turn that on probably right after the project of West Main is finalized.
Mr., go ahead.
Is the controller equipment or a person?
It's a good question.
We only have
It's a
money for
piece
half a person.
It's a piece of equipment. It's a computer.
Oh, okay. And is that the delay based on anything we're doing, or is that on the people running the project?
No, it's based on the time frame it takes to get traffic signal equipment right now.
Okay.
When we
Let's just
probably
buy a
this
bunch of
this
controllers.
yeah this time last year, I know, right? This time last year, the lead time for traffic signal equipment was roughly 8 to 10 weeks. We're pushing closer to 20 weeks right now, and so there's basically 2 manufacturers of traffic signal equipment in the United States, and everyone's ordering them. So.
Mr. Cook?
Well, just note on Nathan's stuff, I do have something for city manager's updates if I get a chance.
I don't think you're getting one. No, okay. Mr. Bray, I think we've exhausted this. Thank you so much for that. City manager report?
I just wanted to note, Mayor and Council, that tonight is Kelly Jacobs Hunter's last meeting with us. It's always tough to lose a member of the executive staff, but Kelly's been a very hardworking and dedicated member of the team. She's come in a difficult few years with the budget situation and a lot of employee turnover, but she's done a great job, worked very hard for us. It's a big loss for Turlock, but a gain for the city of Atwater. So we do know where to find her. We do have her phone number. I just want to thank her for her hard work and the things she's helped us with, and wish her well.
Speech. Well, she's going to give a speech. Man, when we say how much money do we have, she sits there like, no, don't ask, don't call on me.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. That'll be the last time I get to say that here. I do just want to once again say what an honor and a privilege it has been to serve you and the citizens of Turlock. This is a wonderful community, and me moving closer to home takes away nothing from what a lovely, beautiful community Turlock is, and I wish you guys all the best. And the biggest thing I want to say is it has truly been a pleasure to come here and work with the best municipal government employees that you have such an amazing group of city employees that are dedicated and caring. And I just want to say how much I will miss you guys, but I'll just be down the road. I have the same cell phone number. And thank you. And I will keep you all in my prayers, and I'll wish for good revenue for Turlock.
Push it north from where you're going to be. Anything else, Mr. Cook? Got it? Okay. Council items for future consideration?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I was trying to figure out between that and comments, so I'm just going to go like right in between.
Okay, yeah. We're merging towards it.
Yeah, we're going to go right there. Yes, there was a concern that was expressed about our charging stations in the parking lot across the street. I have addressed the matter with Mr. Cook and Nino and Doug, and we're looking at some ways to correct the issue. So I just want to let the public know that we have heard the concerns. We are looking at it, and we're trying to address it as best we can. Thank you.
Okay. So council member comments, done. Okay, anybody else?
I just want to reiterate, the need for our roads and our workshop that we're going to have. So we welcome any participation and comments, even to our emails before, so we can address them at the meeting. So we can research them and make sure that we have the appropriate answers. And we look forward to seeing everyone there. So.
No comment.
Can you write that down? And the time and date, please?
I just have a couple. One being today, to give my colleagues and the public an update. I spent today in Sacramento talking with some legislative representatives and some groups. The groups I met with today, talking about our infrastructure needs, the fact that we have leveraging dollars now with Measure L, SB1, so we can really have some dedication of some funds to our capital projects that have a huge benefit not only to our community, but regionally as well, as asking for support for our water infrastructure needs and for sustainable drinking water source. The people that I had the privilege of meeting with today, long day, California Transportation Commission, Senator Borges' office, Department of Natural Resources, Assembly Garcia's office, Assemblymember Flora's office, as well as the Department of Finance. Really productive. We were really able to talk about our needs as a community and to make sure that they keep us in mind while they are exploring opportunities to give back to their districts. We're the second largest city in the county. I think that has a lot to do with that we're growing right now. We have a lot of new people coming into our city. We're the most, I like to say, affordable place to live, and we're going to see that continue to grow based on housing at least. And I'm proud. I think it was a really productive meeting, and I hope to continue those conversations and hopefully gather some more support. I want to thank Nathan Bray for helping me out with some of the prepping with some PCI stuff. He's been in court for a while, really busy, so he's been able to dedicate some time to that. So I really appreciate the time and attention, and also City Manager Michael Cook for allowing us to prep with that. It's been really productive, and hopefully we've gathered some great conversations with some other legislatures.
Okay, and then I did have goodbye to KJH, Head Roads Workshop, so I'm just clicking these off. We have Warrior Day tomorrow. Everybody wear red and come out there from 4 to 6 at the Central Park. Yeah, no, you wore it too early. And then I just kind of, as just a food for thought, I just think that we need to start doing backgrounds first and then going forward at some point. I know we're racing to the finish to find $1 here for marijuana, but it just, in my mind, I have a hard time. So I'm just begging you, once we get those done, can we start doing it, like fundamentally, is the person even okay with being able to move forward, or the business? So that's just my food for thought, and we will go back to closed session at this point. Yes.
Mayor, we would adjourn the regular meeting, and then, because that was a special meeting that we're going to be continuing back into. So.
Okay, so I am adjourning this regular meeting, and then I will reopen our continuation of our special meeting that started at 5, and it's just closed session. So thank you all for coming tonight. We'll see you on Thursday night at 5 o'clock for our roads workshop.
No talking, the meeting's back. Jesus. It is way too cold in here.
Feels good.
Isn't it? Welcome.
My eyeballs are hot.
I am an authorized wedding official.
Don't say that. Don't.
George, we good? We are?
Oh, shit, I need my, I forgot my shirt.
Here. We good? All right, we're coming back from our first special meeting from closed session. Mr. White.
Mayor and council, as it relates to items 2A, C, and D, direction was given to staff. As it relates to item 2B, the council, by a vote of 5-0, rejected the claim of Amancia Calderon. With that, that's up.
Okay, shall we adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Good night.
You're like 3 for 3 on that, aren't you? Oh, we need t-shirts.
Oh, yeah, guys, don't forget your shirts. I'm sorry.
You're gonna wear it too. You're gonna wear it.
When are we wearing this?
Yeah, I'm gonna wear it tomorrow.
The council meeting's in October.
We have 2 of them, right?
Yes.
I came in today thinking I was wearing this.